Welcome to Inside the Cave. Today's broadcast sponsor is proudly supporting Missouri State Bears. Today's guest is Missouri State swimming and diving coach Dave Collins. Coach, how you doing?
Great, Tom. I'm doing well. Excited to be here today with you.
I am too. Talk a little swimming, diving, and first off, tell us how you and the family are holding up.
We're doing really well, and it's a challenging time and an interesting time, but we've actually we've had a really good experience, and we're doing a lot of family things. We've eaten every meal together for weeks and weeks and weeks now. My new role as elementary school teacher has gone fairly well. We're having a good time. We're spending a lot of time together.
I follow you on social media, so I see a lot of the kids' activities going on with you and the wife.
You got to keep it wild. Otherwise they'll get bored. So we've been doing some dance parties, some theme nights. Boy, we do a lot, and I'm also finding I'm finally using my art degree a whole lot more because we are doing art projects every day.
Well, I do follow you on social media and pretty supportive of the Missouri State administration on this time. Talk a little bit about that.
I'll tell you what, anytime budget cuts, situations take place on the national scene, non-revenue generating sports get a little bit worried. And, I think my goal as a coach was to try to be proactive and have some conversations with our administration. They've been great about communicating with us. And I've been trying to work closely with our national organization that looks after swimming and diving as a whole to try to get some information to be proactive. Because I think if you try to wait and be reactive, you can find yourself in some problems. So our staff got together and we said, look, before our administration comes to us and says, here's probably how much you're going to need to cut, why don't we help them out? I mean, this is a challenging time for them too. And so we actually went to them with some areas that we felt like we could cut. And actually, in our conversation, Kyle Motes said he actually didn't feel like we were going to need that drastic. So the communication has been really good. And I know a lot of my friends that are coaching other places don't have that open connection with the administration, especially the athletic director. So I'm very appreciative of Kyle for that. And when he came out last week and said that we definitely were not going to drop sports, and that coming from Cliff as well, that I think was just a huge relief and just a confidence for all of our current team, our recruits. That said a lot, I think, of the support, and we can do this, and we'll do it, and we'll all work together.
He did say, however, that budgets would have to be cut a little bit in each individual sport. So you've been proactive working on that already.
Sure. And again, there's a lot of ways that we can trim some money here and there without changing the student-athlete experience. That was our goal as a staff. We said, look, where are some things that we can make some adjustments that our student-athletes are not going to be severely impacted. And we feel like we've done that. We're prepared. We still don't know what that number is going to be yet coming from the top, but we're ready, and we've got a tentative schedule planned, and we're going to have a great season. I feel very good that when we get to start, it's going to be really good. We're going to have athletes that are so motivated to get back, and I think this has the potential to be just a great year for athletes of all. They've all had a break that they kind of were forced into, and I can't get back. As coaches too, we needed a break, and so everybody's got a fresh battery and ready to go, and I'm excited. I think it's going to be great. I don't think we're going to miss a beat.
Today's broadcast sponsor is Color 10, Ozark's first proudly State Bears. We'd also like to thank Pinnacle Sign Group, the official signage provider of the Missouri State Bears. Coach, very successful season for you guys this year. Conference championships. You've got Coach of the Year awards. Talk a little bit about this past season for you.
Sure. You know, our sport and every coach out there of all sports would tell you their sport's really grueling. But semesters and this being what we were preparing it for it to be an Olympic year, everybody just kind of ratchets a little bit more. And so, you know, a lot of hard work went into the season, and it really starts the summer before. You know, to our teams, I really feel the success of the college season really in the spring and summer before. So if I look back to that, our women come off of a championship. The men had not. The men had been beaten by Miami at our conference championship, and so the motivation really started there. And also, you know, with goals of qualifying for Olympic trials in the summer prior to the Olympic year. So really starts off in the summer. The kids put in a great amount of work. Our staff just did a tremendous job. Jim with the divers, Ethan and Chelsea with the swimmers. So, you know, coaching, it's a staff award. That's not a coach of the year. I'm just one person, and it's the group. And our staff is just incredible, and recruited great athletes. And our athletes, it's also an award that should be to the team too, because they've listened to the staff. They've been coachable, you know, and so I think that's a big part of it. It was a great year, a lot of fun, a lot of great memories. Ready to do it again.
I'll have you talk about the coaches here in a little bit, but a little bit the conferences. You got the Missouri Valley Conference, which most of the sports are in, but you've also people that don't know. Explain why you're in two different conferences with the men and women.
Sure. You know, there's not enough schools in the Valley that sponsor men's swimming and diving. We do have Southern Illinois, Evansville, and then us. So we joined in with the MAC, who also had a smaller number of teams, and really created a pretty nice conference. And so it is interesting because we don't, you know, I go to basketball games, I go to volleyball games, and I see the same teams from the Missouri Valley. So it's interesting to compete against, you know, Eastern Michigan or my State, because, you know, we don't really have a relationship outside of swimming. But it's a great conference. It's a bunch of very good coaches, great facilities, and but we only really see them once a year. So it is kind of interesting there too. Up with regular dual meets during the season with Southern Illinois and Evansville. But yeah, it's been a really good conference. And then on the women, the Missouri Valley Conference has really grown. I think when I started, we had five teams. And we've grown now to with Arkansas Little Rock coming in as an affiliate. Valparaiso has a team. You know, Indiana State added a team. So, you know, we've really 8 teams. It's a really strong conference now, and so watching that evolve has been a lot of fun.
Speaking of that, the Valley, you've been the kingpin here the last few years. Won it, what, 4 years in a row now?
Yeah. You know, and staff that we have here, I think we've 12 out of the last 13 years, and don't ask me about the one that we got away from us. That's for another day. But yeah, it's a credit to the staff. It's a credit to before I got here. You know, Coach Steck had really built a great tradition. I was Ford's assistant for 5 years, and you know, and just have a great staff that has stuck with us and had opportunities to go elsewhere, but here at Missouri State. And so it's special, and the tradition's great. That being said, we try not to, tradition's important, but we try to make sure we turn the page each year, you know, and I think it's important for our women to realize that the previous success belongs to the previous team. And some of them were on it, but we have to create our own success each year and set goals. And I think that's important, because you can get stuck thinking, well, it's always kind of been this way and it's always worked out, so surely it'll continue. And that's a recipe for disaster if you have that mentality. So we work a lot on that.
We don't get to talk a lot about the dive team, but they had success this year, and your assistant coach, the dive coach of the year.
Coach Hulskamp is done just a great job, and he's been here, I think, 14 years, and he's just got a good way of communicating with the divers. It is a different sport, It's we share the water, and we wear a similar uniform, I guess, but there's a lot of differences, and so Coach Hulskamp, he handles all the diving. And he's recruited great athletes, and the best part is they've improved in the program with him. And so for him to be diving coach of the year, to have some champion divers on our team, and the points that we get from diving is significant. And you have to have a balanced team to win championships, and diving's been a big part of that for us.
Again, we want to thank our broadcast sponsor, Color 10. Ozarks First, proudly supporting the Missouri State Bears, and a special thank you as well to Highland Dairy, the provider of Missouri State University. Coach, you talked a little bit about a couple of your assistant coaches, but talk about the entire staff and how significant they in the team's success.
Sure. Well, Coach Dirksam has been here as long as I've been here. I think we both showed up campus in August 2007. I was a young, dumb assistant coach that didn't know a whole lot, and she was a freshman that probably had her eyes wide open too. And so she's a tremendous athlete, records, conference championships, individual and relays. She was the women's senior athlete of the year. Her senior year, was a team captain for us. Then rolled right into a voluntary assistant coach role as a fifth year, and then into a graduate assistant, and then assistant and associate head coach. And there's only one more chair for her, and that's
You had a chance this season to honor your former head coach in Coach Steck. Talk about that and how important that was to you.
Coach Steck, he is Missouri State swimming, and he spent so much time here, created just a wonderful tradition. I owe a lot to him because he took a chance on me. I mean, I had 1 year of high school experience and kind of got lucky. And so he took a chance on me. I worked my tail off for him, and we just had some really good. And anybody that knows him, boy, he is a storyteller and funny. And I think the biggest thing I learned from him was how to motivate athletes. He was very good at motivating our swimmers, and being able to honor him, and I check in with him all the time, and he still tries to tell me what I'm doing wrong, which is awesome. It's funny, and we have a great relationship.
How much of him is in you as a coach, do you think?
Sure. I think a good portion. I've been fortunate to have great mentors in the sport, and I think that's probably why I'm coaching. I don't think people that become coaches had bad experience with coaches. It's usually people that had great mentors. So I would like to think that I take a little bit from each program I've been in, both as an athlete and as a coach now, and try to mold it all together. There were some things that as an assistant, I felt like maybe we could do a little bit differently, and that comes with, and so, but a lot of what he instilled in me is still in our program.
Coach, you guys are pretty lucky during the you get to take a little training trip south where it's a little warmer. How important is that to you, and will you be able to continue that, especially these days?
I think it's really, again, our sport, we chase a black line, and we've got Hammond Student Center pool memorized. I'm sure the kids know which tiles are out of place and everything, and we just go. So when it turns cold here, if we can get away for a week and swim outside and get a little bit of sunshine and just some camaraderie. It's not just about the training. It's about really midway through our season continuing to build relationships and build as a team. So I do think it has a lot of value. Now, that being ships without going to the palm trees. So I have a feeling there will be very few teams taking those trips. I think those are going to be the first things when we look at what's a necessity, what's just something that we get to add on top of it. And so that's probably something that we'll take a little bit of a break from, and we'll just have to get creative as coaches of doing a better job while we're here to create those relationships and get the benefits of what we would have gotten if we'd been
Were
in Florida.
those more bonding, or was it strictly a training trip?
Probably depends on who you ask. I'd ask our team, they'd probably say, man, he trains the crap out of us. But, I think we get a lot of benefits of both, and one of my favorite things that we do is we cook for the team, and it started out as a way to save money. Catering a $600-700 meal, we could cook a pasta dinner for $200. So it started as just a cost savings to now morphing into something we have a blast doing. So we'll cook 4 or 5 meals for the team while we're on the trip. I mean, it's all hands on deck. People are chopping. We're throwing all kinds of stuff in pots and pans. Our bus drivers, he's making cheesy tortillas and all kinds of stuff. So, things like that we don't get to do during the school year because of the classes and everything. We get to go to the beach. We challenge them in all different kinds of ways. So a lot of fun.
Special thank you to podcast sponsor Color 10, Ozarks First, proudly supporting the Missouri State Bears. We'd also like to thank the payroll company. Visit paydaysmadeeasy.com. One of the big events each year for you guys is the Duel in the Pool. I know you have fondness for the program. Married a Drury grad, as a matter of fact. Talk about that and how important that is to you guys each year.
Sure. I love the competition, and that's for us to be able to be. I think we're 8 blocks apart, and be able to compete twice a year. We recruit a lot of the same athletes. Very close with that coaching staff. We actually share Metter Park in the summer, so we overlap a lot in the summer with the training environment, and it's a great event. We see some of the best times and just the best races of our dual meet season come out of because our group does not want to lose that one. And so for us to be able to have, and I think all it costs me is pizza, is just a great opportunity for us. It might this year with the potential of some budgets, more than twice. Who knows? It's great competition. I have so much respect for that program. And the first time we did it, that was one of my most fond memories, is being able to coach in the pool that I swam in against my former coach that I have a lot of respect for. So that's something I'll always remember, and just against them. Just walking into the pool and seeing the Drury colors, it just kind of gives me a little tilt each time we're there, and it's just a neat experience.
Yeah, a lot of media attention on that, obviously, and this a very unusual Division II program at Drury. I mean, they're basically a much bigger program than a lot of Division IIs.
Oh, absolutely. The history there and the tradition of championships is incredible, and was really one of the things that drew me from South Texas. I'd never been to Missouri before. I'd never been to campus, but I talked to the assistant coach at the time and started learning about the history, and I thought, boy, that sounds like something I'd like to be a part of, and was fortunate. I was no great swimmer. I was just a very average swimmer on a great team. And a lot of the relationships and the teammates that we had, I still have today. And just a wonderful experience for me. And again, I think because my college swimming experience was so positive, I think that's why I enjoy coaching.
Coach, I want to talk about some of your individuals, maybe some people that stood out for you this year. I know you had a couple of solid transfers to start the year with, too.
Yeah, I think that what we're seeing is our recruiting is kind of 2 parts. We're going to recruit a high school kid that's coming in as a freshman with 4 years of eligibility. We've created some great relationships with the programs in the Midwest, and so that will always continue to be our focus. But really, with some of the new transfer rules in the last years, that has opened a lot of doors for us. And honestly, it's probably kids that maybe should have been, on a team like ours to start off, but maybe wanted to try something a little bit further from home or in a SEC type environment. And they might be left at home on a travel trip or something like that. The team goes to the conference squad. And what we're finding is those athletes just needed a chance, and I'm thinking of Michael Hampel, for example, from Louisville. And I just knew when he came on his recruiting trip, he had leadership capabilities. He had experience, and he had been training really, really hard for 2 years and not gotten an opportunity to compete. And I could just tell talking to him that if we give this kid a chance, it's going to be really, really good. And he came in and just was a leader, swam really, really well for us, won an individual title at the conference meet, probably a big part of why we won the championship as a team. And so we're always going to keep our eye out for those folks too. And, our previous All-American Blair Bish came out after years at Arizona, so we've really kind of become a good place for people that are looking for a second opportunity.
And a recruiting ground for you is pretty much the Midwest. I see Illinois, Kansas City, this area, the Springfield area, which has got some good youth programs as well.
Absolutely. We feel when we start our talks about a new recruiting cycle, we kind of draw, about a 5-hour drive, 6-hour drive from our campus, and that's really our target. We don't do a whole lot of national recruiting outside of that range. Now, if somebody's got a connection to our program, obviously we'll look into them. But there's so many good athletes in this Midwest area, and I feel like we just need to target within about a 6-hour drive. That picks up a lot of Nebraska. That picks up Kansas, Illinois. Chicago's been really good to us lately. And down into Arkansas. There's no men's programs in the state of Arkansas, Oklahoma, Kansas, or Nebraska. So, for the side of things, we're right in there. And the women, they have more options. There's more women's programs in the Midwest, but we've just created some really great relationships with club programs. And somebody like an Anna Miller coming from St. Louis, Rockwood club team, she came in here, and that opened the door to many more kids from the St. Louis area. So, you got to get kids in, you got to treat them well, and they'll have success, and they'll market your program for you.
You've had a couple really good recruiting classes here of late, back to back. I know you're very excited about that.
Yeah, and again, it's one thing I've learned in recruiting. You can't just go off of maybe the best athletes on paper. You really have to find the athletes that are the right fit for your program. And we look for a certain athlete. I look for somebody that's a self-starter. If talk you into having to do everything, this isn't going to be a right fit for you. We actually try to identify that the best we can in recruiting. And so I don't want to recruit the parent. I don't want the parent doing all the communication with me. I want to recruit the kid. And we've learned a lot, I think, about how to identify the athletes that fit best programs. So we've been fortunate that we haven't had any leave because of that. And so, it's gone really, really well.
Today's broadcast sponsor is Color 10 Ozarks First, proudly supporting the Missouri State Bears. Also, University Plaza Hotel at the intersection of local and luxury. Discover University Plaza Hotel and Convention Center, Springfield's only premier full located in the heart of downtown. University Plaza, where local and luxury. Speaking of luxury, Coach, your new athletic lounges there at Hammond Student Center are beautiful. You're able to showcase those a little bit at the beginning of the year, but talk about that.
Oh, what a game changer that was, and just it was very, very the support that we got from families that are connected to our program, whether that's alums, whether it's families that had athletes swim on our team. And it just, what a asset to our program. To give you a little background, it's off as a locker room renovation, but it just, with the way the locker rooms are in Hammond Student Center and the fact that you really, you're still going to be sharing that space with visiting teams and general public and age group program and everything, we just felt like we were going to spend a lot of money and really not get a whole lot out of it. So that's when we looked to the racquetball courts across from where the pool entrance is. And we talked, what would, a locker room, you're just going in there, you shower, you change, and you leave. You're in there 10 minutes. And so we felt like a team lounge with a nutritional aspect. Fueling station is something that's really big now, is making sure your athletes are getting the right food in their bodies and the nutrition. Also, the studying, the academic piece, that's been something that has been really, really important in our program. And so we wanted to showcase that and highlight and give another space for our student athletes to study and work on homework and group projects and things. And then, of course, there's a 70-inch TV in there for gaming and just hanging out. And it's just been awesome. And we've been able to put up some great pieces on the wall that kind of remind us of the traditions and what's come before us. And it's just been incredible. And you mentioned Highland Dairy earlier. They supply us with chocolate milk every week, and it's just been incredible. And our athletes, it's taken our program to the next spot and boots, and it's just been great.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. The recruits, now you haven't had a chance to really showcase it here lately, but that's got to be a piece down the road that's going to be important to your program.
Well, sure, because as we battle recruits with schools in the Big Ten and the SEC, they're seeing those sorts of things at places like that, and some not near as nice as what we have now. So, that's one of the unfortunate parts to recruiting, is you do need to showcase some of that stuff. I'd like to just say that, hey, trust us, come here, you're going to swim really well. But they want that stuff. So this was a way for us to create a space that we felt would be utilized in a lot of different ways for many, many years to come. Group would get together and have movie nights. There'd be popcorn all over the floor, and we had team meetings in there. We really, before that, didn't really have a space for team. So just an incredible opportunity for our group, and it just helps them further the relationships they have with their teammates.
Coach, next door to your facility, JQH Arena, there's a lot of banners hanging in the rafters, jersey names, and you have one now at the pool that's basically your version of a jersey in a rafter, right?
Yeah, we've got a couple people that we recognize, and we've got one big banner that has all of our NCAA championship qualifiers and their names up there, which is a huge honor. If you get to the NCAA championships, that's a big deal. And then on the other side of the wall, if you take it a step further and you score points at the NCAA championships, which is top 16, and you become an All-American, then you get your name kind of on a separate spot. So been fortunate, coached in the program's history at the Division I level, and Paul Lee, who is still swimming, trying to chase that, he was really the catalyst of starting our program on the national scene. And then Arthur Osvath and Blair Bish, who just graduated last year, both as All-Americans, just all incredible athletes, but because they were coachable, and that's the thing, is it's the relationship.
Coach, we have a fan question for you today, courtesy of Great Southern Bank, understanding what really matters, member FDIC. Fan question is this: with the lack of access to pools across the nation right now, will this have a substantial effect on recruiting future Bears?
Our sport, we're more fortunate than most. Recruiting and swimming, you sure do want to see them in the water, but it's not, you don't have to. A time in Springfield, Missouri, and a time in Omaha, Nebraska are the same, so although I do like to see them and like to watch them race, and I don't heavily impact. If anything, it's going to put us back on the original recruiting cycle that we were, where kids came on visits as seniors and made a decision instead of coming on campus as a junior and making an earlier commitment. So personally, I like it. I think that we're going to get a lot closer to kids committing to the schools that they should be going to because they're a little bit closer. I always get nervous if a 16, 17-year-old is committing. There's a lot that can change between in that 6 to 8 month range. And so, our goal will be to bring kids on campus for visits in the fall and get some commitments. But we really only have one senior on the men's team for this coming year. So we really will be focusing a lot of our efforts on the women's side.
Coach, are you able now to kind of shore up next year the schedules? I know you had a lot of recruits already taken care of for the upcoming year, but talk about next season and what you're doing right now to work on that.
We're just kind of sitting and waiting. We've got a tentative meet schedule that we're just kind of waiting for the NCAA to kind of get a little more clarity on when our season may even start. So that could be altered slightly. But really, I've been talking to a lot of coaches and coaches I've known for a long time and some that I've just met. And we've had a lot of Zoom calls with our conference, the head coaches in the conference, and talking about things that we can be doing as a whole to strengthen our sport. But boy, we're just sitting here. I'm so out of my element, not preparing for workout for the next day and thinking about the training and hands-on working with athletes is why I love coaching. Love the administrative stuff. We do okay at it. And Coach Dirksam's, she's kind of the expert on a lot of that. But we're just want to get back on the pool deck and start coaching.
Absolutely. Kind of a unique story I wanted you to talk about. Bears swimmer Nathan Adrian was doing an interview in New York City about the USA swimming program called Learn to Swim, and he was interviewed by People magazine. Now, the reporter was a former Bear as well, right?
Hannah Flanagan is she's a great success story from our program. She came from Columbia, Missouri, and came down here and just had an awesome career. Just a great student athlete, and she was always into journalism and fashion. And I kind of, when kids have a passion to something, I want to try to help them with it. But I'm like, boy, what are you going to do with that? And she goes, well, I want to go to New York City and work for a big magazine. I'm going, okay, well, those jobs are high, but good luck, and we'll do everything we can to support you. And so here she is. She's working for People magazine in New York City. Tag onto that story. She is actually going to be helping me with my 7-year-old who's into fashion, and they're going to have a Zoom interview on Wednesday. So my 7-year-old gets to interview Hannah of People magazine, so to talk about fashion. So, those are the relationships that we have. In fact, her fan supporters in the Team Lounge project. And so, it's just, that was a neat experience for her, I'm sure. And I'm sure for Nathan Adrian to get relief, because sometimes when you're in that setting, you're probably talking to somebody that doesn't know much about your sport. So that was probably refreshing for him.
Absolutely. Too. Well, Coach, great job today. Wish you the best of luck, and hopefully we're all back and you get the training back where you want it to be, and get ready for the next season.
Thanks a lot, Tom, and appreciate your time, and looking forward to seeing all our Bear fans next year. It's going to be a great year. Once we're all back together, it's going to be great across the board. Can't wait.
Absolutely. This has been Inside the Cave, presented by Color 10 Ozarks First, proudly supporting the Missouri State Bears. Be sure to tune in next time as our men's soccer head coach John Leamy